Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss all things to do with the modern market, that is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to hopefully make some or a lot of money on the internet. Load up discussion today. We have gold continuing its march higher to $4,220. We will reflect on that as we saw multiple countries having queues outside the gold buying spots. We'll touch on that in a little bit. We've got the MegaETH news confirming the ICO. You've got 11 days to register. We'll talk about a little bit of the public, the mechanics which are available to the public to digest. So we'll discuss those shortly. And finally, we've got Binance announcing, nope, that is not the news today. The final headline will be Meteora announcing TGE going live today. So that's another exciting one. Very, very valuable protocol. On Solana, apologies, I'm losing my voice a little bit. We've also got the latest on price action on crypto and NFTs as usual, plus a general discussion on what we think is going on in the market. I am with my co-host Legendary today. We're ready to get into it, but just a reminder, friends, before we do, nothing that we say here is financial advice. This market is very, very risky, and we do not know anything for sure. So please take your precautions, do your own research, and use your own judgment in all circumstances. With that out of the way, Legendary, it's Thursday, it's the 16th of October. How you doing? How you feeling, my man?
GM, I'm excited. I'm excited for the show today. I'm doing quite well. I'm excited for this week. I feel like there's a lot of things happening. We had all the things you talked about. We had the OpenSea treasure chest farming, or OpenSea farming us, coming to an end yesterday as well. So that will be interesting to see what comes out of that. We had the yield basis, TGE go live. I feel like so many of the things that we talked about or prepped for came to fruition or close to come to the market. And on that note, did you participate in the OpenSea treasure chest farming, or did you skip that?
I guess I did. I was selling some NFTs over the last few months. So does that mean I participated? I did click register, which I think means that, well, I didn't for a certain period of time. Then I realized that you were supposed to click register. So then I did do that. What does that mean?
I think if it is within the time period where the farming was on, then you should have farmed yourself whatever level of treasure chest based on the volume that you generated.
Okay, that's pretty good. So yeah, definitely worth checking that if you have been still active on the NFT side of things. I've definitely been a net seller of NFTs, but I didn't realize you had to click the register button, which is a classic move that some of these protocols are making at the moment to, I think, just exclude a ton of people who are not super active or super in tune with the decisions that they're making. So that's something to keep an eye on. You mentioned yield basis, Legendary. I think things are moving on so fast in this space at the moment, and people don't really, people's attention is not really concentrating on anything for too long. That was a pretty excellent analysis and call that we discussed not long ago, right? I feel like a lot of people were switched onto it as well, but also I've seen a ton of people who are not switched onto it. And I feel like we just got this shout out, for example, let me check the Modern Market account. We got this shout out from River Ryan, who's pretty OG NFT guy, trader, collector, smart guy, definitely for sure. I've seen him on Tanon for a long time. He said he found out about yield basis, turned 5K into 20K, and he found out about it from watching the Modern Market with B-Check, Legendary, and Bread. That's where he got the information from. Didn't know about it before the show. So I feel like that was a good one on us. We haven't really had a chance to dwell on it much, but what was your reflection on yield basis, and do you think there's anything else to come from it? A reminder, this is the new protocol from the founder of Curve, one of the OG DeFi protocols, and the thesis behind it is to get rid of impermanent loss and provide yield to Bitcoin. So pretty ambitious job. What do you think, Ledge?
Yeah, I think that on multiple questions. What do I think? It's a very ambitious thing. I have, however, distributed half of my tokens back to the market. So I did that too late. I should have done it pre-TGE. I think it was Frenchie in our community asking me, why don't I do that on Rails market? That definitely was the play. It did go as high as 140-ish there. traded above 120 for a good while. Now the token is trading at 60 or 58, 59 cents. Opened at 1, went down pretty quickly, but that's nothing to say about the protocol. I'm still very interested to see if they actually managed to fix IL. Didn't read too much into the technical side of that, to be honest with you. To your other part of the question, if there's more to come from that participation, there actually is, because Legion sale participants having participated, sorry about that, in a Legion sale is something that counts towards your Monad airdrop in a positive way. It's one of the many, many criteria that they're looking at. So just by having participated in that, if you got an allocation and you made some free money off that, it will also have the second order effect of increasing your allocation in the Monad airdrop.
Good take. I've got a great take, I think, to tie all of this stuff together.
So humble. He said, I had a good take, but yours is great. I love it.
I mean, thank you for leading me to my take, but it's a really good one that's going to come, but I can't actually give it yet because there's a couple of other things first. You mentioned, I want to tie a few things together, but you mentioned Monad airdrop checker today, or that's what people were doing yesterday on the timeline. Just reflect on what that is, what the process is, if there's any strategy involved with that for the people to find out.
Yeah, so basically what went live is the website where you have to register your wallets, your socials, connect all the things to that to find out in what tier you are ranking for the airdrop. We don't know exact point allocations yet. We know the strength of the tier, but we don't know what that means and to how many tokens that will translate. There's been many questions also from a security perspective that I think also intern who is working with Monad has addressed. Mainly, which was also the question that I had, do I have to connect all of my wallets together? And do I have to also connect my socials to that? Because I don't want to have that risk of a potential data breach where suddenly my X is tied to all of my wallets or a good or important wallets of mine. You can't have all of your wallets because I think it's limited to 8 EVM wallets or so, and I have way more than that. But they did reassure that your final token amount is your final token amount, and it doesn't matter how you split it, cluster it, bundle it. There is no strategy. So what I then did is I have separate clusters of wallets which are already connected, and you could already track them on chain. And my socials, namely my X, is connected to the wallet where I hold the Pudgy, which used to be my PFP, which is also pretty obvious. It's my wallet. It's nothing, no surprise there. But I didn't want to have wallets of mine which are not public being connected to that, because it did happen with one of the airdrops. I don't know if it was Pengu or was it another one. I don't want to blame the wrong team, where you also had to cluster wallets, and then you were able to actually see which user put in which wallets, and that is something that I've been growing more and more cautious of. So I'm happy that they did it in this way. It is like no advantage of bundling everything together, because from a company's perspective, that's valuable data to also accumulate, right? To know which wallets are yours. That also goes for all the portfolio trackers, all the other things. But I liked how they handled that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. I think people should be encouraged not to collect everyone's data, although I think that's probably an inevitable thing that's going to happen over time. People will 100% want to know how much you're worth across how many wallets, and it's going to be up to you to decide whether the potential prize of the airdrop is worth you sacrificing your privacy and some of the value in your accounts. So that's for people to decide, I think. Sorry, my voice is going today for some reason. The thing I wanted to say, in fact, I'll do it in a bit. Let's get to the headlines, get everyone up to speed with what's going on in the last 24 hours to get you up to speed, and then we'll hit the headlines, do the usual show, get into the main stuff today, and I will drop some good takes, hopefully. Starting with the price action, as usual. Bitcoin is down 1% to $111,500. ETH is also down almost 2% back to around 4K. Tether, Tether. BNB is flat at 1.1K. XRP is down 2% to $2.45. Solana is down 4% to $196. We have Hyperliquid down almost 5% to $38. And Sui is down 3% to $2.70. Getting to the meme coin side of things, Pudgy's down a few percent as well. Doge is down 1%, SHIB is down 1%, Pepe is down almost 4%. Pump Fun is down 3% again. It's down 30% on the week now, back to 3.8 bill FDV. Bonk is down 4, SBX is down 4, WIF is down 4, Bartcoin's down 3 or 4 as well. Useless is down 10. So mostly red across the board there. Rect is down 10 as well. Getting into the headlines themselves, we will be discussing today gold continuing its march higher. Definitely want to talk about that and some of the options available to people on chain. Next, we'll talk MegaETH confirming its ICO. You've got 11 days to register. There is a bit of some mechanics there talking about an English auction with a fixed ceiling price format. So we'll discuss that in a bit. Some also details around lockups for people in different regions and a little bit of a selection process that you have, or some optionality that you can choose between. And then finally, Meteora announces TGE going live today. That's a big one for the Solana LP protocol. In other news, Asta's down 13%. As I said, yield basis is trading at 411 mil FDV. That's the Curve founder's new project. And Tau's also down 10% in some other big moves. So mostly red, I'd say, across the board here. Ledge, anything we need to know on the NFT side?
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the NFT side of things. There's a bit more to report on that than yesterday, which is Pudgy Penguins are up a bit, up 2%, obviously still down massively in the week, down 18%, as we said, with all of the major collections. Moonbirds had a beautiful run. They are up 11%. They basically managed to offset all of the losses over the last week, climb above a 3 ETH floor, trading at 3.1 ETH. And apart from that, all the other collections, the major collections that is, are trending down further and further, an additional 1 to 4% on the day in the red.
Fair enough. Moonbird really outperforming there. I wonder whether or when that token is coming. That's probably the biggest NFT token to come, right? Everyone else is liquid in some way. Is that fair to say?
I think so, right? There's nobody left who didn't do a token from the original big ones, right?
I think so, yeah. Interesting. Okay, so I guess that's going to be something to look forward to as well at some point soon. Getting into the rest of the roundup to get you up to speed, we've got Superstate partnering with Backpack Exchange to be the first centralized exchange to list SEC-registered equities on chain. That is big news, I believe. Again, making the distance between equities and crypto much closer, within touching distance, so you can trade either. The US approves Erebor Bank, the crypto bank by Palmer Luckey and Peter Thiel. CZ associated YZ Labs leads a $50 million round in stablecoin payment team, Better Payment Network. People might have seen this yesterday. It was pretty funny, or maybe not funny. Maybe someone lost their job. Paxos mints 300 trillion PYUSD onto Ethereum by mistake, and then they burned the amount. I don't know what it means to mint it by mistake. Maybe just enter the wrong button at the Paxos Labs. Never done that before. Bitcoin miner Bitfarm seeks to raise $300 million offering of unsecured convertible notes. ETH treasury company ETHZilla to execute 1-for-10 reverse stock split to reduce the number of ETH shares and to increase the price for funds for with minimum price thresholds. Funny business going on at these DATs that basically can't trade above NAV anymore. So they're going to have to do all kinds of things to try to make them to trade above it, but they will not. That is my instinct. Polymarket launches up-down equity markets, allowing you to now bet on the direction of equities. Jupiter announces significant changes for the Jupe token, and in a few other bits of news, Tether's USDT0 and Gold launches on Solana. RecDrinks announces new partner drink with Ledger, and finally, Gondi announces Hyper EVM support for NFT lending. Final news, OpenSea announces Wave 2 begins today. Those Wave 1 chests, which Legendary mentioned already, now claimable tomorrow, I believe, October the 17th. So that is the roundup of the news today. Before we get into the main stuff today, Legendary, anything you want to go to here that's catching your attention? I've got some thoughts as well.
Yeah, for me, it's the Tether Gold and USDT Zero launching on Solana. We obviously had this protocol, which also has been discussed in our Telegram chat. What is it? Gold Aura on Solana to farm yield on gold. And unsurprisingly, as interest is growing there, Tether is not ignoring that and also bringing their own version of gold to Solana, which is interesting to see that basically the perception of Solana is really now more also evolving into a place where you can do DeFi. We had the success of Solstice. We had obviously a Solana team and foundation trying to push that DeFi narrative more. And actually, I feel like that the fact that Tether is taking Solana as a quote unquote like blockchain ecosystem environment seriously enough to also see, oh, okay, we might have enough gold demand there because there's also other things going on, is a validation for that success of is like changing perception that Solana is trying or has been trying to achieve.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind that. Nice point there. The thing that I was thinking about is this two things: ETHZilla and the financial engineering. That, look, this is just one example. I'm sure there's going to be more examples of whether it's DATs for ETH, whether it's DATs for some other tokens or whatever. The beginning of financial engineering to try to trick people into purchasing more of the DAT shares. This is not going to work. This is 100% not going to work. You can't trick people to buy your shares by changing the number, playing the games, making somehow trade above NAV when people know that the trajectory of these things are going to go on. So in my opinion, this type of financial engineering, which I guess MicroStrategy, and again, maybe MicroStrategy didn't do this thing specifically, but in general, they've been genius financial engineers, and the market kind of respects that in some sense. You can't go down the risk curve and everyone just do the same thing and the market respect all of them equally. Like, there's going to be some diminishing marginal returns here, and each time someone tries to do it, it's not going to be as valued or as trusted as when MicroStrategy did it. And so I just don't think that stuff's going to work at all. Do you have a specific view on that, Ledge?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the DAT market has overheated a ton, and obviously this like MNAV premium has compressed or even gone negative in some cases. And these reverse stock splits are more cosmetic than anything else. But I agree with everything that you said.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's helpful. The other thing I wanted to say was to do with, this is the previous point, actually. This is like a more of a state of the union, state of the market point, when we're kind of drawing a few things together, talking about MegaETH ICO, talked about yield basis, had the attention of the market for a couple of weeks. It came out very strongly, now trending down back towards, I think it's still a clean 2x from the raise price, right? It raised at 200 mil. It's now at 400 something mil. So, early investors who are still liquid won. Meteora is coming out today. Monad we're talking Monad as well.
TGE checker, by the way, for Meteora today, just to clarify on that.
Okay. So TGE checker, which we'll touch on. This is what it feels like to me in the market, and you can see if this analogy makes any sense. It feels like maybe this is our bias of just being exhausted, which we have been very public about. Like, we are literally exhausted when you've worked nonstop throughout the bear market into the bull market and gone through the whole thing. It has been very tiring, psychologically, mentally, practically, like putting in the work. And we don't just talk, right? We're putting numbers and actions behind all these words. We're in the market, very much invested. It feels like now people are turning up to work every day, which is crypto Twitter and this show and whatever, and we're just coming for our paycheck. And what I mean by that is we are slowly taking risk off because we know that we've run so hard, and we're just like, okay, come to the market today. What have you got for us, Monad? You got some cards for us? Okay, thank you. What's that going to equal? Maybe I'll add a couple more wallets. Maybe I'll take this. Okay, cool. I'll take my paycheck. See you later. Okay, XPL. Okay, so that's going to come out at 70 cents. Okay, we'll do this for 7 days. How much is that going to be? Do we actually want to hold this token? Not necessarily, or certainly not at a 15 billion FDV. So we're going to sell that off as well. And then we go to the next thing. Okay, MegaETH ICO. We don't know the full details yet. Everyone's decided on the timeline that they want to pile into it anyway. Like, I haven't read one person saying that they do not want to pile in to that ICO. So everyone's going to pile in. You're going to be up probably. Not guaranteed anything, but because there's going to be so much demand, you're going to be up because the demand will be so big, and it's going to whatever number they choose, it's going to come out higher than the number that the raise takes place. And so you collect your paycheck, right? You know, even if it's only a 2x from there, or a 3x or a 4x, it's still unreal, given the amount of money you can come in with. And then you've got kind of, okay, cool. We've been doing, if you think of all the people that put in the work on Meteora over the last couple of years. I know you have done Meteora more than me. Someone like Oxy, who's up on stage with us, like always sharing the LP plays on Meteora, doing some smart stuff over there. Like, that's going to be a big win. But do you see what I mean? All these things, and you know, you mentioned OpenSea. The years we have traded NFTs. It's like, okay, OpenSea, what do you have for us? We're going to turn up to work. What have you got for us? You got some chests? All right, we'll open them up. We'll get some tokens. We'll sell them off. And what the question is, what are we going to do with this? This is all. It's become part of the routine because everyone has left TGE to this point of the market, where I guess, well, it feels late. I'm not going to say whether it is or it isn't. You can obviously feel our leaning towards being more conservative now, meaning that we just you turn up, you pick up your check, and then you stay risk off, right? Waiting to roll into the next artificially created demand, like MegaETH, which is like, yeah, we're going to cap this raise. You're all going to pile into it, and then we're going to, you know, it's going to be a huge win for the people who are in it. And so you do that a few times. Why go? You're not going to go buy Bitcoin when you can enter an aggressively artificially created demand for a raise, like yield basis, for example. It's like such a low raise, and it's going to open higher, guaranteed. You had what happened with Limitless? It was like a 500 million. I'm literally just making up numbers now, but they had like $1 million to give out worth of raise in capital, and there was like 200 million in desired things, right? It's like, yeah, sure, everyone wants to get in at that valuation, but there's not actually that much space. That's the way to keep rolling your capital up. So that's my feeling of where we are at the moment, Ledge. That's been a long set of thoughts, but I haven't heard anyone else explain it like that. What do you think?
It was the same, by the way, with Umbra, right? Umbra had the pre-sale methodology. What,
another example?
Okay, it got 200 million or so. It was massively oversubscribed as well. I think what we've seen this year is something that I feel like we see every cycle, or even within cycles. You had founders who wanted to TGE in spring. And then you had the tariff crash, and it was like, yeah, maybe postpone. Nothing happens in summer. Everyone's like postponing. That was the assumption, right? Nothing happens in summer. Whereas like summer's been a beautiful period to launch because nobody came out and the markets were just running. So everyone's postponing to fall. Now some people maybe got a bit scared or burned by the liquidation events that we've seen last Friday. And everyone's like now piling to get their token out. Capital rotation increases, premiums decrease, compress. And what has happened, in my opinion, over the last year is a bit of a like structural shift in the market, or massive, not a bit of. If I remember DeFi summer, and if I remember how tokens were running back then, just take the simple example of QuickSwap. QuickSwap was a Uniswap fork which came out on Polygon. And their token, the only reason I got into QuickSwap back then is because it was playing Avagotchi, and they migrated to Polygon. So you needed to buy some QuickSwap. You had some LP incentives. That token basically ran in a couple days, weeks, whatever it was, in a very short period of time, from like $3 to over $1,000. Like, you could literally put in very little money in some of these DeFi summer plays and have absurd premiums. And I feel like this kind of flipped on the head a bit, to the extent that how you need a lot of capital and you take your free 2x's, 3x's, or even in the case of Umbra, which I mentioned, if you watched this pre-sale, you had people coming in last minute and like putting in 4 mil, 6 mil, 8 mil. What you got was 2% of whatever you put in. So you put in 1 mil, you get 20K of an allocation. That allocation, 3x's. Say you sell that immediately, you take 40K as a profit, you immediately make 4% on your mil on the day, which is insane return compared to TradFi, but it's not meaningful compared to the returns that we've seen. Same with Plasma. Like, put in your money and double it up with basically almost any size that you wanted to do that is incredible. It's still very good, but it's obviously more meaningful the more money you have. These like 1 to 1,000 opportunities have become few far in between, whereas these opportunities to have liquid capital available, throw that in and take 10, 20, 100, 200, 300% with yield basis, whatever, are becoming the new norm. And all of them, or many of them, require some sort of on-chain activity. It wasn't easy to get the yield basis pre-sale if you didn't have a good on-chain history. And then basically this history gets like over and over rewarded again. Just now in the Telegram chat, I think it was Dago who shared this post by Kobe, that also everyone who participated in an echo sale is getting a Monad airdrop allocation, and they will announce how to figure that out and add that to the claim. So I feel like that is like historical participation gets like more and more rewarded. The market has shifted to like want more capital for smaller but still incredible returns, and everything is like compressing in this Q4. Again, without saying like this means that this is the top or it's not the top or whatever, it's just commenting on the structural shift that I'm observing in the market.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's one of the things I've been talking about a lot. The idea that there is no action. Well, there is a certain amount of demand in the public market for some of these things, but the method to get them to market is to create outsized demand via artificially constricting the access and actually recreating a private sale post all the previous private sales. That's what's happening at the moment. Like, if you want to make the best gains this has been true from Plasma to yield basis to was it Umbra?
Mm-hmm.
These ones, the way to make you say risk off, but nothing is risk off. But if you have stables, you just pile in and then suddenly you're 3x up on whatever your allocation is. This is one of the best ways to compound capital right now in relatively short spaces of time. And again, the conclusion that you draw from this, and this is why I've been thinking a lot. So this is that line of thinking is actually one of the main reasons why I've started to wonder, like, what's the point of holding crypto itself? Maybe Bitcoin to save, gold is on a heater, so you wanna have that. And beyond that, you need stables to keep piling into these things every now and again. That's what's moving the most. Having said that, some people are better liquid traders. Maybe we've figured out this specific kind of the game and seen this better than other people. We do trade liquid as well, but we're kind of more flexible. If we see these opportunities, we'll also take them. And I feel like that is the better opportunity right now. It certainly has been the last few weeks and maybe the last month or two. And we'll have to this is the thing. Once it's happened a bunch of times, again, not everyone's going to be able to keep doing this over and over again. I think people will get exhausted by that too. And then you just keep an eye for when that roller coaster ends. Thoughts on that, Legendary, before we move on?
Yeah, I think it's also a result of how our portfolio has changed in size, obviously, over time. That you just don't have to, as much as I like the trading part, I don't have to rely on liquid trading to be the successful thing to do to continue growing the portfolio.
Indeed. Okay. Good stuff. We're going to get into the main headlines in a second today, but before we do, we're very pleased to announce our partnership with Beezie, the on-chain claw machine, innovating how collectors chase their next grail. You can see their brand up on screen with us on our partnership reel. Beezie lets you pull everything from PSA graded Charizards to Labubu figures, Travis Scott Jordans, and sealed products, all securely vaulted with Brinks, tokenized on chain, and shipped worldwide. Whether you are after rare Pokemon slabs or battling your way up the leaderboard to farm an airdrop through pulls, swaps, and trades, Beezie makes collecting on-chain fun. And Legendary will take us through the Beezie experience a little later on the show today. So we still got 25 minutes to go. Let's get into the main discussion today. Before we get to that little Beezie segment as well, which I am looking forward to. Ledge, take us into gold here. Gold is continuing its march higher. I don't know what anyone is supposed to do right now. Did you see some of the? I don't know if you've managed to find.
Yes, I have a clip. I have a clip.
These people like queues going around the block for people trying to buy physical gold. Tell us what's going on here. Any further reflections? What do we need to know?
I feel like gold makes more headlines on our show than the major cryptocurrencies these days, which says a lot ultimately why Web3 native show, but we also can't ignore that the gold price is continuing to go up. Yesterday we said all-time high at 4.2K. Today we're up another percent, $4,240. The future market, where is it, is going even higher. Futures are at, go away you at $4,260. So that is just continuing to go up. Because you mentioned the queues, this is some footage. I think this is on mute, should be on mute as well. Out of Australia with like massive queues. I'm sharing this on screen for the people watching us on YouTube or on X video, lining up for hours and hours just to be able to buy their physical gold. So that meme, always getting reminded of that meme that we've seen so often with BTC. BTC at 50K, nobody's queuing up. BTC at 120K, everyone's queuing up to buy BTC. Very, very FOMO-driven picture that we're seeing here with gold. This video is coming via Newswire, which I'm sharing on screen. The thing that I also wanted to comment on that, maybe more from a portfolio perspective, because it's something that we've been discussing in the Telegram chat as well. I shared this right up today on some of the pools which I'm looking at, and the volume and intensity has picked up there as well. I feel like it becomes especially evident if you look at a pool like
that was me this morning.
Love it.
I think I spiked the gold chart on Hyperliquid quite a lot.
Love it. Thank you, by the way, because I was 90% of the pool.
I know it's all you in the pool.
But even if you look at Uniswap on mainnet, there's a pool for PaxG, so Paxos Gold and Tether's Gold, and that used to have a 30-day average of 2% in APY. That is now up to 10%, and that's literally without significant impermanent loss. Like, obviously, you make the trust assumption on both ends that both like PaxG, Paxos, and Tether will uphold their custody of the gold, and in case things go south, will allow you to redeem for that physical gold. But essentially, both is pegged to the gold price. You're like farming 10% on what is a quote-unquote stablecoin-like pool, because there shouldn't be any impermanent loss unless there's a black swan event, as we just said. But even on the more riskier side, the USDC or the stablecoin gold pools range between 20 and 30% APY, and on the even crazier side of APY, a pool which in the bull market you would consider conservative, which is gold wrapped Bitcoin, currently at 40% APY. So the queues that you see in real life, the digital equivalent of that is basically the APY spiking in the LPs, because everyone on chain wants to trade gold right now.
Yeah, I feel like, you know what we need to do, and I shout out to our Telegram chat, like I feel like some people are asking the right questions and asking, like, you know, who's backing which gold, how's it backed, what's the redemption process, who's trustworthy in that arena and who's not. What happens? So, like, you know, I don't know if we have answers to this immediately because we haven't really been thinking about this very much. But, you know, for example, Tether Gold depegged from the real gold price just basically because there were, you know, you have to be providing liquidity for it and there wasn't enough. And when people were selling off on the crash the other day, Tether Gold was much lower than the price of real gold in the real world, which did not dip during that sell-off. Is there a universe where, and this is me thinking out loud as a, you know, is there a universe where demand on chain becomes so big because people, I don't think people realize that you can get gold. The amount of questions we've had in Telegram and actually separately being like, oh, how do you get gold again? Like, I really think this is something crypto Twitter is completely underexposed to, and they don't
Oh yeah,
know
100%. Yeah.
how to do it on chain. And is there a universe that the gold on chain can then start to trade at a bigger premium?
I mean,
There was already a premium that opened up, I think, this morning on the gold on Hyperliquid versus, you know, the spot gold, the normal spot gold price. Could that happen as well, do you think?
it is happening right now. If you look at the gold price, gold is at 4,245, whereas even on mainnet, Tether Gold is $5 above that. So you already have a bit of a discrepancy going on there. And maybe
Indeed.
to the redemption process, we posted in the Telegram chat the audit by BDO Italy, which audited Tether, and I think Oxy wanted to look into that a bit more over the next couple of days or so. But also, if you go to the gold.tether.to website, they tell you how the redemption process works, and there is, so basically they store all of their gold bars in a vault in Switzerland, and if you want to redeem your XAUT tokens for physical gold, you can do that. The caveat being they deliver physical gold bars to any address in Switzerland, though. So you need to have a Swiss address if you want to redeem at the moment, or have some freight forwarding going on, or redeem it and have it in a vault in your name, which you most likely, not most likely, which you can also set up as a foreigner in Switzerland as well. So in case you have a significant amount of gold and things would really go south and not recover, you would find a way to get the gold into your hands.
This is going to be a funny arc for crypto Twitter. You can just feel it bubbling now if it hasn't bubbled already. That people are going to want to start. You know, we've done. You know, I think physical gold's going to become a thing that people are going to want to get the next couple of months as we go into Christmas. I didn't realize how little people knew on chain about your on chain options for gold. Like, we've been talking about it for quite some time and been experimenting with it a bit and been following it. I did not realize how little was known about it. And I think we could probably push that premium higher as people realize more about what's happening with gold. Specifically, if Bitcoin continues to underperform, if people think, okay, well, that gap's going to close. If the gap closes, then people will chill. And they'll be like, okay, we don't need the real gold. We like the digital gold for all the reasons that we like Bitcoin, right? But I think if it continues to underperform, we could kind of send that premium much higher, I reckon. Oxy, welcome to the stage, man. You've got some thoughts here on gold, maybe its potential on-chain premium, or the LPing of gold. What did you want to contribute?
Yeah, thanks. Just super quick. So I think I completely agree with you guys. I think there's going to be an influx of on-chain gold traders, but also a lot of on-chain protocols that are saying that they have like backed by gold. So maybe just like a disclaimer, it's like, make sure that they're getting a proof of reserves done. Like, obviously, proof of reserves, I guess for context, isn't going to audit whether or not the company or the protocol or the project or whatever it is just going to take all your stuff and go away. What it does is it just verifies that on the back end, they do in fact have the gold one-to-one to back what they minted on, like the tokens they minted on chain. So like we were talking in the Telegram about some other protocols that were doing gold on chain and whatnot, and they may not have had a proof of reserves done. So maybe just pay attention to that kind of a thing, because you don't want to be stuck holding a token that doesn't have any back end assets. You know what I mean? And that goes for all RWA. in my opinion. So maybe just a quick little point there.
100%. 100%. Super important message to keep in mind if you go down the gold route, if you go down the on-chain gold route. Frankly, if you're going down anything where someone else is going to be custodying your stuff, something you've got to keep in mind, right? Absolutely. But yeah, we like gold at the moment, and I think we'll continue to accumulate. Let's get into the second headline. MegaETH confirmed their ICO. You have 11 days to register. This is, of course, the ICO offering from the very prominent and well anticipated L2 MegaETH. They have said that any future offering will likely use English auction with a fixed ceiling price format. Remember, they have so far raised from Echo at a very low valuation. I believe it was 200 something mil. Then they raised via an NFT sale called the Fluffle sale. And that was all done where each individual was allowed to, I think, buy 1 ETH. There was a 1 ETH buy-in, which I believe was around 2,700 at the time. And that was around a 500 something mil valuation. And now this third raise is at an undisclosed valuation. It has not been disclosed what that valuation is, but they say it will likely use an English auction with a fixed ceiling price format. So maybe there's a bit of variety of fully diluted valuations that you could get in at, depending on when you enter. I suspect it's going to be a complete gas war, because I have not seen one person on the timeline that does not think this is a screaming buy. And this is, okay, to the extent that there's bias that needs to be disclosed. Obviously, Brett is not with us today. He has been a co-host with us and a friend for a very, very long time, and he's very influential building out MegaETH in a very important way. But you saw from the other sales as well, like they were just screaming buys. Everyone wanted them. The sentiment is really good because I think people feel like the community have been brought in at really good valuations, so therefore people feel like they have good sentiment towards MegaETH because they feel like they're gonna make money regardless. So let's see how this one plays out. The one additional note in terms of news is this 1-year lockup, where you can choose to have a 1-year lockup and get a 10% discount on your final token price if you want. But because the lockup, that 1-year lockup is mandatory for all US participants. So I think US participants will all get that discount. And they're going to have this lockup because those are the rules. And then you can actually opt into that as well if you want a 10% discount. My personal view would be there's no way you'd trade a 10% discount in exchange for like being locked up for ages. I think you want the optionality of being liquid, as usual. Is always a good option to have. And yeah, depending on the valuation, sounds pretty promising here. Ledge, what did you think about the MegaETH news? Did you have any comments, thoughts, or reflections?
What did I think about it? I agree with you on the part that I wouldn't want to lock up for a year to get a discount, but also I have the choice. The lockup is mandatory for all US participants. So I am glad for that one to not be based in the States. As you said, we certainly have a fair bit of bias, positive bias towards MegaETH, but it is something that I will participate in to continue to increase my MegaETH exposure apart from having my Fluffle and my army of bad buns. I am curious to see how the auction will play out, because I feel like if it is structured as a dynamic laddering, as an English auction, it will really tell how much demand there is for that, because it's different than, for example, what Plasma did, right? Plasma kind of played it in a safe way where I said, okay, 500 mil, cool, it's full. Another 500 mil, it's full. Another 500, another 500, and do the 2 bill. But if you go like with one auction and you don't hit your max price, and it's maybe depending on how high it goes relatively to the max allocation or max price, it might be a bit underwhelming. So there's definitely a bit more of risk taking from the narrative building with MegaETH, but it will be interesting to see how high the demand for that is, and where the auction market will want to value, or how much you will want to pay for token allocation to MegaETH.
Yeah, it is interesting. My instinct, again, this will be highly valuation dependent, obviously. If there is anything in a reasonable range, like if there's anything near what the valuations have been so far, it won't matter about the auction aspect, in my opinion. It will just sell out immediately. That would be my thinking.
Yeah,
So
that
again,
would be the safe play, right? Make it still very attractive that even throughout the entire ladder, everyone wants to get in.
yeah, I can't. Well, again, if the valuation's too high, then yeah, fine. You might see it get to a certain level, and people then start scratching their heads and looking around at each other, being like, "Should we really enter at this price? Maybe not. Maybe it's not worth it." But if it's anything in the vicinity of what it was before, no one will even care whether it's at the lower end or the high end. I think that's my read based on seeing some of the responses on the timeline, and that's just my personal response. I will allocate accordingly along those lines as well, depending on valuation, of course. Funky, your hand is raised. Welcome to the stage, man. Give us your take before we move it on from here on MegaETH.
My bad. I thought I took it down. Basically, you guys answered my question because I was wondering. I actually qualify. I never thought I would be technically an accredited investor, but I looked at the list and I thought I could qualify across a couple of those different ways. And I was thinking about it because I already have a fluffle, and but then you guys basically said, is it worth a lockup? Because I'm like 10% discount a whole year. A lot happens in a year in crypto. Even if the valuation were somewhat low, like, yeah, I don't know. That's what, but yeah, you guys both said that. So I'm like, nope, I'm out.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I get it. It's a trickier one to think about for the US residents, right? To be locked up for the whole time. Although there is probably a valuation at a certain valuation, which even makes that attractive. There will be a valuation where that's attractive too. So worth still keeping an eye out, in my opinion. Okay, we're going to get to our final headline of the day in just a moment. But before we get there, let's get to our Beezie partnered slot today. Legendary, we're delighted to be working with Beezie on this. What do we need to know here? Why don't you give us a little bit of an intro?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's head over to Beezie.io and take a look. Right now, there are 2 claws live. The first one, let me get that up on screen as well, features everything from Pokemon One Piece slabs to sneakers and Labubu. So you can see the entire price pool, the top items here. Top item right now being a Vibes TCG Booster Box First Edition, approximately valued at $444. You open instantly to reveal your collectible and decide whether you want to hold that or whether you want to swap it. The second claw, that's the one that I like a lot, unsurprisingly, is fully Pokemon themed, focused on graded cards for fans chasing the next grails. Once you hit start claw or start now, you pick a payment method. You have credit card, crypto, Apple Pay, Google Pay available to you, and your pull up is revealed instantly. Beezie shows you all the odds up front. You click on this view odds button here, so you always know what is in play. After your pull is revealed, you have a 15-minute window to either swap or hold. The swap lets you sell back the item up to 90% of FMV of its fair market value. Each pull helps you climb the leaderboard, and that looks beautiful. Weekly top spot for myself and farm points for a potential airdrop. If you pass on the swap and hold the item, it remains vaulted securely with Brinks, and you can later redeem that at any time, which I also did to test to see if it works, and it worked pretty fast. Beezie then handles the worldwide shipping and logistics for you. So far, Beezie has seen over 100,000 claw pulls, over 7 million in gross merchandise volume across its live claws, and they also announced a claw partnership with OpenSea yesterday, which is currently loading. There we go. Which will feature Pokemon Slabs, Labubu, sealed products, vintage collectible grails. That is not live yet. The other 2 claws are live, and you can try it out for yourself over at beezie.io, which is beezie.io. And I'll put our ref link in the comments to the show.
Beautiful. Legendary, be honest. Did you know that you were going to be number one on that leaderboard as you showed it to the audience?
I was number 2 in the morning, and I had to flip number 1 again. There's a bit of a battle going on for the top spot in the weekly leaderboard.
Did you know we were doing the partnered spot today and do more pulls just so you could be number one for the show? Yes or no?
Yes, of course I did. I want to have the dual flex. And that's the reason I pulled up the weekly one and not I didn't pull up the monthly one. Because in the monthly one, I'm just number 2, and that's not as good as a flex. So I have to go the weekly.
Okay, well, good to see you up on the leaderboard there, irrespective. So shout out to Beezie for partnering with us for this month. Look forward to exploring more of their product and their offerings and the various like awesome news that they've got coming out for the rest of October. So we'll be back touching base with them shortly. Right, let's get to the last headline for the day. We have Meteora announcing their TGE. It's going live. Not today, but the checker, I believe, is going live today. As we've kind of already touched on this, so we don't need to do it too long now, I think, because we've been speaking about all these TGs are lining up back to back to back to back to back. What I think maybe just for people's context, why is Meteora interesting? Why is it going to be valuable? Because I think it will be. And then any further reflections on just the fact this one is also coming out at this point in the market now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get it up on screen. Meteora TGE checker, as you said, it is going live today. It is interesting because it comes with a pretty new mechanism. I would say I haven't seen that one before, which is the MET launch pool. So basically that means you will be able, out of the 48% of supply distributed, 10% of supply will be via a liquidity distributor, allowing users to opt in to provide liquidity for MET immediately when trading begins. So you can claim your MET tokens or a certain allocation of that and LP that part immediately. That is new. That is interesting. I'm curious to see how that one will play out. In terms of why people are excited and potential valuation, there is, as with everything these days, a poly market for that. Meteora FTV above insert number 1 day after launch. 70% of the market think it's going to trade above $1 billion. 18% think it's going to trade above $2 billion. So it's probably fair to say that this is the fair range that the market is anticipating, anywhere between $1 to $2 billion. That is of a poly market with a bit more than $1 million in volume.
Very good. So I think that will be an interesting one for sure to keep an eye on. As we said, there's just a whole backlog of tokens that are ready to come to market, whether that's this week, next week, the week after. It's going to be token season as we roll into Christmas, I suspect. So lots of energy around that. And I think, actually, as we've just described today, if things are designed sufficiently well, there can be as much opportunity in those moments as long as the valuations stay attractive. If teams get extractive, want to raise at really high valuations, and then people don't want to put their money into the raise initially, which ruins the sentiment, then it can struggle. But I think if they keep putting these attractive valuations, artificially kind of constrict the ability to get your hands on access, that can continue to create happy community members as the FTVs stay higher than when they entered. Obviously, it's still a challenging game long term, right? To keep the token valuable is going to be the hard game always as more of the supply unlocks. Nevertheless, I still think it's worth kind of keeping an eye on those opportunities and bringing light on that over the next few weeks. So that is that. Ledge, any final reflections? I'm just looking for the ref link.
I just pasted it as you were talking. It's in the comments to the spaces.
Perfect.
My final reflection is not a reflection. I actually want to hear from Oxy. Oxy is probably one of the biggest Meteora farmers from our modern market community, and would be curious to get his thoughts on that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so maybe just a super quick. So right now you can actually register for the like if you wanted to get the liquidity token, like what Legendary had mentioned. So I think it's met.meteora.ag. So take a look at their Twitter and where that link is. And the checker just did go live. And maybe one additional point just being that there is a hyper liquid pre-market token being traded right now, and that's currently at 1.4 billion. So obviously the whole pre-market slash what's it going to come out at valuation, at TGE. Obviously the pile market was one day after TGE, but it kind of gets rid of that that wonder or that like mystery of like, oh, where is it going to land kind of a thing. So take that into account too when you're trying to make your decisions here.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Oxy. I didn't realize it was trading already. So trading at a very healthy valuation, one something bill. I think you said 1.4 bill at the moment. Quick question. What was it about registering for what token? So obviously you've got the checker, which is how many tokens you're going to get for your participation in the protocol. What can you register for?
Yeah. So on the checker page right now, you can register to get your tokens allocated in a liquidity pool, like in a single-sided liquidity pool. So instead of getting your tokens directly at TGE, they'll put it in a single-sided liquidity pool starting at 500 million FTV, and then you basically farm the fees from 500 million up to whatever it ends at. So let's just say it goes up to 1.4 billion. All the volume between 500 million up to 1.4 billion, your allocation of the token will farm fees.
Got it. And why would someone, just to make it clear for people trying to understand that, Ledger's got a helpful kind of chart up on screen. Why would someone choose that option over getting their tokens liquid right there and then?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, really, do you think that I guess one, do you want to like slowly DCA out of your position as the token, finds its final valuation after launch? So you'll inherently be selling, since it's a single-sided, you're putting all your MET tokens in at 500 million. You're slowly kind of selling them as it goes up to, let's say it's a billion FTV or whatever at the end of the day. You're slowly selling your way out of that position as the price goes up. Further, you can also potentially, it could be EV positive depending on what volume numbers look like. So obviously you're kind of selling out of your position, you're securing in profits, but then depending on what volume looks like at TGE, you could potentially earn more in fees than you could have if you had just sold at the end of the day or at the top or what have you. So it's kind of like, the way I'm viewing it is, it's kind of I'm kind of hedging my bets a little bit. It's like, okay, I'm slowly taking profits, but then if the volume is astronomical and really crazy, I'm earning fees as well that kind of make up for that, the potential quote unquote lost profits if I would have sold at the Pico top, for instance.
Okay, interesting. Really, really helpful explanation, Oxy. I wasn't aware of all of that, so I'm sure people will find that interesting as well, giving people some optionality on the day of the airdrop, so they can just be more educated and make their own decision. Appreciate you, man. That's super helpful. And that's it for the show, guys. Today we run a little bit over. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern time, live on X Video, YouTube, and you can catch us on Apple and Spotify podcasts as well. Thank you to my co-host, Legendary. Thank you to Oxy and Funky for their contributions as always. And thank you for joining us. Shout out once again to Beezie, our collectible partners for this month. You can catch the ref link in the comments, and it will be in the YouTube link when you are watching over there shortly. And have a great day, guys. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Take care. We'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.